Ellie. I'm doing a quick pop in. I am your favorite CEO. I'm also a audiologist and speech language pathologist, and I've worked with clients for over 25 years as a professional. I've also worked with clients as CEOs for over 10 years. So, this question came up to me because uh, I've helped a lot of people learn how to navigate through the overwhelm. And navigating through the overwhelm, whether it's in your life, whether it's in your business as a CEO, whether it's just as a person. And in the process of the overwhelm comes that part where you have to be able to communicate to others in that process. And I've had so many clients come to me super frustrated, not knowing how to fully express themselves when they have to relate to either clients, they have to relate to their family, and or they just have to get things out, but they want to make sure it's done in a way that they don't piss everybody else off. So I've had a knack for helping people to navigate the spaces. So I'm going to share three simple tools that I use in communication, especially in the process of overwhelm, during today's live session. And if you have questions, feel free to ask it. And when I come back in, I can always answer it. So first of all, you have to be able to regulate your own self and how are you feeling, right? Identify how you're feeling. So if you're not identifying the overwhelm, or if you're not identifying the frustration, or not identifying that you have a lot going on, then of course you can't express it. So the key is always taking time out to fully identify how is it that I feel, right? Doing regular self checks on your own self, because when we are more aware of how we feel, then we're able to at least identify that part and then move from that part. But if we are full of, frustration, I remember a time when I got so upset that I couldn't get into a specific place at a certain time, and I was frustrated. I was feeling overwhelmed. I had so much on my plate, as a professional, as a parent of a child with autism, as a CEO, and I wanted things to be run at a certain time. I'm also a Virgo, so I'm very structured in certain things, and I like things to be done at certain times. If you think my son is autistic, I am clear that I show lots of signs of that also, because I like structure at times, especially when it comes into time. So I was at a place and I was trying to get in, and I was feeling like it was so much happening for me at that one time. But because I didn't stop to truly identify how I feel, I could just feel the anger just bubbling inside of me. And at that point, it's like whoever comes close is gonna get it, right? You ever express that feeling? Whoever comes close to you is going to get it, because there is no release of how you're feeling at that moment. And I remember allowing myself the opportunity to wait. Before I release on everyone around me, I got to first tap into me and figure out what's happening here. Why am I feeling so overwhelmed? And how, if I need to express it to someone, how am I going to be able to express this overwhelm to someone else without biting their head off, barking, or just being completely frustrated? So when I speak about identifying how you're feeling in the midst of that frustration, or taking that moment out to like, wait a minute, what's happening? Taking that second before you allow yourself to go further into whatever is going to be communicated to be coming out not the way that you intentional. It's key. And it's key to do that outside of that time, right? Don't wait until you're frustrated to be able to identify how you're feeling. That's why I say regular self checks on how your emotions are, especially now when there's so much going around in the world. Please note, I also help individuals with retreats, and I have in-person moments, sessions either in New York and or in Aruba, where I help people to navigate the overwhelm and to kind of take time out just to tap into self and then learn how to then move forward. But even in learning how to move forward, we got to learn how to communicate, right? So first, like I said, identify how you're feeling, be clear on how you're feeling. Now we got to be able to open our mouth, right? So before we open our mouth, I want us to do this breath thing. And I call it like a 5 breath process, where you allow yourself to breathe in for 5, hold for 5, release for 5. And you can choose whatever number that works best for you. Some may do 7, some may do 10. I like 5. So when I'm breathing in, right, and for 5, and then I'm holding it for 5, and then I'm releasing for 5. So when I'm doing this process, I'm now going over the process of, okay, what is it that I want to say? What words do I want to come out my mouth? So in my breath, I'm now preparing myself before what comes out of my mouth exactly. So breath work can help you to actually tap into being able to have more control over what comes out of your mouth. So once again, I'm trying to help you. Simple communication strategies to use when you feel overwhelmed. Identify how you're feeling. Make sure you tap back into that space. Do your breath work. And that process of breath work. Some may do 5. Some may be feeling so overwhelmed that you may do it for 10. Take a deep breath in. And then release for 10. And in that process, you're now going over, okay, I'm now regulating my own self. So now the words are going to come out my mouth will be more intentional. It's going to be exactly what I need to be said. And at least it will come off with less anger, with less frustration. You allow yourself breath. So it's not coming out as a yell. It's not coming out as a protest or something that's fully, in the motion that you don't want to express, but you allow yourself now as you're doing this deep breath work. Now, the third part is now the expressive part. So now you're going to be able to express to whoever you need to, whether it's to a client, whether it's to, a loved one. Now you've given yourself enough time to process what's going to come out of your mouth, that it's now more intentional, and it can be done at a more calm pace. So this is the self-regulation aspect. This is where you accept full responsibility of what needs to come out of your mouth. You accept full responsibility of how it's going to come out of your mouth. And we, right, you and I, because I still go through this process as now as we speak, and the reason why I'm doing this live is to help you to navigate through these situations so that you are now coming into that space of having more control over your own communication, right? You're now at a pace where you can speak a little calmer. You've processed some things of exactly what do I need to express right now. And as you begin to express yourself, it's done with more ease. It's done with more flow because you have regulated yourself. Now, I'm going to give other additional strategies later on, exactly on the words that can be used, on how you can communicate it, and the necessary possibilities of, because we also want it to be of you. I want to tell you exactly what to do, but I'm going to give you some suggestions of how you can now convey your information to the person so they receive it. Right? Remember, if you're out here wilding out and just saying whatever and going off your emotions and all these things, then that person's not even sometimes able to receive it, which I feel is a complete waste of communication. Communication is a two-way street. It's a transmitter, the person who's releasing the information, and it's a receiver. It's the person who's taking in the information. And we cannot have effective communication if one or two of those things are out of whack. So be more conscious, be more aware of yourself as the transmitter, as the person who wants to give out the information. We want to make sure we're regulating ourselves, we're identifying how we're feeling, we're moderating how we're feeling, so that when we're able to now express ourselves, we have more control over what is going to be expressed, how it's going to be expressed, which will then improve the receptivity of how it's going to be heard. Now, if you know this message was super helpful for you, definitely let me know your responses in the chat. Let other folks know. The key in this is we're at a stage now where we can't blame others for our frustration, and we can't blame others for what's going to come out of our mouth. We got to accept responsibility of our own communication strategies. We got to we have to accept responsibility of how we're able to communicate ourselves. And everyone can improve in communication. I myself, I continuously work on it because I know once I'm frustrated and I know emotions come into play, I now, okay, Allie, you now have to stop, take a deep breath, and now you have to moderate what is going to come out. You have to be more in control. Now, I'm not saying that control all the words and to go on that other extreme end, but I am saying be super intentional so that you can be received. Be super intentional so you can be heard. You don't just want to be out here talking, running your mouth, and then no one's actually listening to you or no one's receiving what you're saying. It's a waste of energy. I'm saying, I always tell people that don't be running your mouth if it's not even being received on the other end, because now you're just out there releasing without anyone receiving it. Now it's that's what you choose, that's fine, but that's no longer communication. That's just a one-way direction of you speaking. And speaking is just that, giving the information. But communication is the combination of the speaking, the listening, the understanding, and the processing through the process. All right. I hope that was good for you as it was for me. It's Dr. Ali. Once again, I am your CEO expert. I do help people in growing their businesses. I'm also an audiologist and speech language pathologist by trade. And as many of my closer friends and clients will call me, the communication guru. I try to give my best support in terms of those who need it in areas that I know I can support them in. All right. If you need access to me, then check in the link below, and there's different ways we can stay in touch. I'll catch you next time.